All right, everybody, I'm back with a new Everybody is a Story and Everybody Has a Story. At least one. I think we have many stories, but hey, we got to start somewhere, right? And today, my guest is Mr. John Fleming. How are you, my dear?
I'm good, Kamla. Good. How are you?
I am good as well. Very good. I start every interview basically by saying science has proved that now your Excel started within your grandmother's womb, we can say. While your mom was there, you already existed. So, what can you tell me about your grandmothers?
My grandmother on my mother's side
Yes.
and her mother.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I know both of those people in the sense that I know what they look like and I know their names. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know beyond that on the maternal line. I'm sure I've seen it in a book, family tree book at some point, but I have an image of these two women, my
Mm-hmm.
grandmother and her mother. My grandmother was alive until I was 16,
Uh-huh.
and my grandmother was, what's the word I'm looking for? She was a lady.
A lady.
She was
Okay.
a lady. She she was posh, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not because she was rich, but she her demeanor, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And she smoked Silk Cut Blue and held the cigarette in a very elegant way,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and used to drink red wine from a box. And she said that it was to calm her nerves.
Okay.
So one glass of red wine every day in the afternoon while she smoked cigarettes.
Oh, really?
And I don't know a great deal about her beyond that, Kamla, because she was difficult to get to know.
Mm.
She was I would say, forgive me, grandmother, she was cold.
Oh, really? Yeah. A bit
Yeah,
of shut up.
yeah, totally. I
Uh-huh.
assume based off what I know now to be true
Mm-hmm.
professionally
Mm-hmm.
that she that was a safety strategy,
Sure.
prob of most likely. Like
Mm-hmm.
thinking of my grandmother, she grew up in a particular time in Ireland
Mm-hmm.
where the view on women was very different.
Mm-hmm.
Like our constitution after we got freedom from British rule, which
Mm-hmm.
has only just gone 100 years recently. Okay, so
Yeah.
we're a very new state in that
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Our constitution, which was written just over 100 years ago, said that a woman's place was in the home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And very much positioned this kind of gender role stereotype of what women should be, and she fitted that category.
Yeah.
There was
Well,
also
she had to, right?
she
She
had
had to
to
obey.
she
Yeah.
had to obey,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. And a phrase comes to mind, which was common during my childhood,
Mm-hmm.
which was that children should be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
actually, I think she was living out women should be seen and not heard.
Mm.
I never had heard my grandmother have an opinion on something.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
She sat there and surveyed, and then at a certain point, she would say, "We'll have tea now
Uh-huh.
in the front room." And
Vicky.
we would
Yes.
all go to the front room. And again, this wasn't like a sort of very la-di-da affair. There was
Uh-huh.
a Tupper box full of biscuits, which I used to run and grab because I was like, yes, I
Sure.
can have chocolate bourbon biscuits, my favorite.
Uh,
And we would make tea, and it wasn't like we were living or she was living in a stately home. She lived in a bungalow in a
mm-hmm.
town, but she had this air that it
Yeah.
was almost like she was in Downton Abbey.
Okay. She carried herself in a certain particular way,
She
but I
absolutely
like it.
did. Yeah, she
Yeah.
absolutely did. And that always left an impression on me because it sent the message to me that you could always enjoy nice things
Yes. Yeah.
regardless of your environment.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
like it was almost
Yeah.
like making the small things
Yeah.
special.
Yeah. As grand as you can. Why
Exactly.
not?
Yeah. Like if
Yeah.
you enjoy that, if the idea
Yeah.
of we'll go to another room and have afternoon tea, but really
Mhm.
you're just having cups of tea with biscuits. But it's it's the experience.
It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. And that's what you remember. So it worked, right?
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. And her mother, so the
Uh,
reason I know her mother is because there was a picture of her mother on the shelf in that room where
okay.
we would have tea.
Yeah.
When I was a kid growing up, I used to be fascinated because my grandmother had loads of photographs and ornaments and stuff, and I would be
Uh-huh.
busy looking at them all. And at
Hmm.
some point, I probably asked, who's this? And it was explained to me that it was my great grandmother. She died before I was born,
Hmm.
and she was very old in this picture, very
Hmm.
old, and she looked mean.
Hmm.
This is my transference, I think.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
looked mean. I'm not saying she was, but she looked
No.
mean to me.
Yeah.
I was a bit scared of her in this photograph
Uh-huh.
as a little boy.
Yeah.
And then I always got the impression from the way that people talked about her that my interpretation of her was reinforced, that she
Mm.
was. But I think you
Okay.
have to remember the generation she came from, which was before my grandmother. It was even before British rule ended in Ireland, and Irish people had been really oppressed
Hmm.
and struggled, and there had been famine, and we were a very poor country who
Hmm.
really struggled to survive and exist,
Yeah.
and we had our whole identity
Hmm.
repressed
Yeah.
by
Oh, well, here we
colonialism.
go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So how could she
colonialism.
be open and happy and loud and all that kind of stuff? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, I think in Ireland it's really understood.
Mm.
But I think outside of Ireland, often it's misunderstood that Ireland was a colony of the United Kingdom at a certain
Uh-huh.
point in time.
Uh-huh.
Like we have really managed to reject
Yeah.
colonization. We fought back and we got our freedom, and we've been
Hmm.
a country of our own now for over 100 years. But
Hmm.
there was a long period of time where we
Hmm.
were a colony.
Yeah.
And colonization impacted us and still does. It still
Hmm.
is in our systems that
Yeah.
we're still trying to figure out who are we or
Yeah.
who were we before
Before.
this
Uh-huh.
happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, my great grandmother is a product of that time.
Hmm.
And then, really interestingly, which reinforces something else I have come to understand through my studies, is that there's no such thing as the truth. There's
We all
just
have our
what,
own, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
there's just what I believe is true or what my
Exactly.
experience has been, and somebody
Yeah.
else who had the exact same experience of me
Hmm.
will have a different belief. Their truth will be different.
Yeah.
And my mum died in 2023, and during that period, I went through a period of, being in contact a lot with family on her side.
Hmm.
So aunts, uncles, cousins, and I have my mum has a cousin who was more or less like her brother.
Okay.
He grew up with her, and he
Hmm.
likes to write poetry and short stories.
Mm.
And I was talking to him a lot while my mum was sick and while she was dying.
Uh-huh.
And I was seeking comfort. I wanted to know
Yeah.
more about
Yeah.
her, and I wanted
Yeah.
to know more from other people. I think this is a common phenomenon when people
Sure.
are
Yeah.
dying. And he shared with me a short story. So he's my mum's cousin. So my great grandmother is his grandmother.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay. The
Hmm.
same way that um, she's my mum's grandmother. And he wrote a story about his relationship with her. She
Mm.
lived
Oh.
with him for a period of time, I think, while he was a kid.
Uh-huh.
Or at least if he didn't exactly live with her, they lived very close and they used to hang out a lot. She would go to the seaside with him and his parents and things
Hmm.
like this. And from reading that story, I got a totally different insight into what she was
Yeah.
like.
Amazing.
This was like she was warm, she was fun, she had a sense of humor, and
Uh-huh.
that she was kind of mischievous.
Uh-huh.
And I was
How
like,
cool.
I know, I was like, oh my God, this is like a different woman.
Yeah.
You know, this is not
Yeah.
who I pictured. And
Hmm.
that was really,
A gift.
it was a huge gift.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
huge gift because I felt like I got to look under the surface
Hmm. Hmm.
of other people's experiences of what she might have been like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And aren't we all, right? We are, I often say we are a circle of a lot of things. And sometimes you see the dark side and sometimes you see the light. And sometimes you are somewhere in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's nice that you got to get that story about her,
Very much so. I
to get a
treasure
full picture. Yeah.
it. Mm,
Yeah. Oh,
mm.
great. Great story. If you look back at your youth, let's say zero to 10-ish, what stands out for you
Oh, what stands out?
in a good way or a bad way?
I guess there's one very significant event in my life pre-birth that
Uh-huh.
that that has in some way really molded me, shaped me, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that I had an identical twin in the womb.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
Um, so I didn't find that out until I was 27.
Ooh, uh-huh.
And
Are you left-handed then?
no, I'm right-handed.
Oh, okay. A lot
Yeah.
of times people say if you're left-handed, that means that you for sure had the identical twin.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I have a odd looking, well, I don't know if it's odd looking, unusual looking birthmark on my back.
Uh-huh.
It's like a cloud
Uh-huh.
and it's totally white, like white, 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 white. So
Oh,
different pigmentation.
yeah.
And I fantasize that when he died, that's him.
Okay, he left a mark on you in a way.
Yes,
A
because
stamp.
in the
Okay.
uterus, there
Yeah.
would have been two of
Yeah,
us,
sure.
and often twins are back to back.
Uh-huh.
And I have this fantasy that when he, I don't know if died is the right word, when he was no longer viable, that sounds very
Mm-hmm.
clinical, um,
Yeah.
that, yeah, whatever
Yeah.
cellular structure,
Mm-hmm.
matter, it's very common you read saying that, one twin absorbs
Mm-hmm.
the other. Yeah, so I have
Yeah.
this fantasy. I mean, I don't know whether it's true or not, but
Uh-huh.
um,
Well,
it's a
he's got your back.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so I think that was hugely um, impactful in the first 10 years of my life
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know it, but I was
Mm-hmm.
always searching for him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In what kind of sense? Did you feel alone as well, or you feel like someone was missing? How did you?
Didn't feel alone necessarily, but very much felt like something was missing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and not even someone, but just something.
Yeah,
And it was very abstract. I don't even think I was consciously aware that
sure.
I felt like something was missing, but
Uh-huh.
I was searching a lot,
Yeah.
trying to find things. And once I started going to school, um, if I made a friend,
Mm-hmm.
then I was like, no, that's my friend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Only mine.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think I was like, really trying to replace that
Uh-huh.
twin connection.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fill
Mm.
the systemic void.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Ooh, interesting, John. Okay. And how did you find out?
Family constellations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was in the first 6 weeks, so it's very
Mm-hmm.
early. And also
Mm-hmm.
when you go looking into it, it's very common.
It
So
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know whether this is true or not, but I read it on a website that was talking about what some people refer to as phantom twin syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, Apparently, up to 80% of pregnancies that result in one baby being born start off as twins,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, it's huge for sure. Yeah. I know a lot of people as well. Yeah,
Mm.
who had that same experience. Yeah. And we're the one, well, basically left behind in a way, or in a
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm. Okay. So you were searching. Did you find what you were searching for?
Not in the first 10 years of my life, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
eventually. Yeah. I guess when I when I realized, I immediately knew it to be true. It was like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's
It's
like
like click,
click.
fully
Yeah,
understand. Yeah.
totally.
That's a
No
knowing,
question.
right? It's a
Yeah, yeah,
body
yeah.
knowing. Yeah.
No questions asked.
Mm-hmm.
No question. And then I went on a very big exploration around,
Mm-hmm.
like what would it have been like? Like how
Mm-hmm.
would life have been different if I had to
Yep.
share my time and my space and my toys and my
Yeah.
food and
Yeah. Yeah.
and when I was lonely or sad or whatever, what would have the connection have been like? Would we have
Yeah.
had that sort of
Yeah.
togetherness?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
again, it's all fantasizing because I don't
Yeah. No, you
know.
don't know.
Yeah.
No, you might
It
have
could have
hated him. You never know.
exactly, yes.
Yeah.
I think I had a positive
Uh-huh.
fantasy, yeah,
Sure. We all
to
do. Yeah.
how amazing it would have been.
Sure. Yeah.
And I talked to my mum about it, and it's very interesting. When I told my mum, she did not object
Ah,
at all.
okay. Yeah. Because a lot of times the mothers don't even know, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think she would have. It's the first
No.
6 weeks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, do you know what she said when I told her?
Hmm.
That would have been so nice for you.
Oh, oh, mom. So sweet.
Yeah. So I think for me, I think that was a lot of confirmation as well, because I
Yeah.
was like, well, my mom's a pretty skeptical woman.
Uh-huh.
If she's not objecting in any way or is not kind of like, oh, I'm not sure about that, then I'm like, well, there's a knowing in
Uh,
her system too.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Oh, beautiful story. And then we go from 8 to, let's say, 18-ish. What is that remarkable about that part of your life?
Again, many things. I guess the thing that kind of pops out um is realizing that I'm gay and coming out. That
Mm.
feels very significant because
Hmm.
at the time I didn't know any gay people.
Ah,
Didn't have any gay people I was aware of in my family.
uh-huh.
I knew gay people existed because of TV programs, but it was quite far removed. I would say like maybe the US or the UK, definitely
Yeah.
not in Ireland, for example.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Um, and yeah, from the age of like 14 on, I kind of knew, but
Hmm.
was battling
Yeah.
it internally because I knew, but
Okay.
I didn't want to accept it.
Hmm. Yeah. So resistance within yourself.
Totally, yeah, totally.
Uh-huh.
Because I was like, no, 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 no. And
And why the no?
oh, because fear of rejection,
Hmm.
it being wrong,
Hmm.
shame, being
Hmm.
different,
Hmm.
being the leper.
Yeah.
Because remember, I grew up in a very Catholic country.
Hmm.
I grew up learning Catholicism in school every day from
Mm.
the age of
Yeah.
4
So you are
onwards.
really a bad boy, mister.
I was a
Yeah.
bad, bad boy, yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, we had been told the fables of the leper. And
Hmm.
here now I was with leper
Yeah.
spots.
Yeah.
And I was gonna get shunned.
Hmm. Mm.
And interestingly, I think I actually knew much younger, but managed to kind of repress it because I
Yeah.
guess puberty happens later, so there might be a knowing of
Yeah.
something at a very cognitive level, but
Yeah.
then when puberty hits, it becomes a whole new thing because now, as
Yeah.
well as knowing I was gay, I also had the feelings of attraction and
Yeah. And your hormones
desire.
start like, yes, baby, let's
Exactly.
go. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now it was like bang in my face because the reason I think I knew younger was because when I was a kid, Boy
Mhm.
Zone was a really
Mm.
big thing.
Yeah.
And I remember taking a magazine that was in our house, I think maybe that my sisters had, or I'm not too sure, that had Boys Own in it,
Uh-huh.
and taking it to my room and hiding it. And
Uh-huh.
then I
Oh,
used to
okay.
look at it because I was
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, but then obviously once I hit puberty, it was a different story, and it took
Hmm.
me a while. But I guess I don't know if it's unusual. I don't want to be grandiose about it, but I went looking for help.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so
Hmm.
I do think it was unusual because if I think of the time and the age I was and the type of stigma that existed around things in Ireland in back then, I definitely think it was unusual for a 14 or 15-year-old boy to go talking to somebody. So like I was talking to the school counselor and then I met the school psychologist. I didn't tell them I was gay, but we were talking about other things.
Uh-huh.
And I remember I had this session with the school psychologist before the end of school for the year, just before the
Mm-hmm.
summer holidays, and we were like
Mm-hmm.
finishing up the work. This
Yeah.
was when I was 14.
Uh-huh.
And he said, "Is there anything else, John?"
He was like teasing. Yes.
And I remember thinking in my head going, "Oh fuck, he knows."
Exactly. Yeah.
And then I went, "No, nothing else.
Have a great summer.
Nothing
Yeah.
here. See you next year."
Yeah.
And then the next year he was gone, because he moved on to to work in a university, and I
Okay.
spoke to somebody else, and then I told a teacher that I thought I was gay, and then I was getting some support with that privately, like my parents didn't know,
Mm.
which was, when I look back on it now, I feel very lucky because that allowed me time and space to explore it on my own.
On your own. Yeah. Without
Whereas if
any
like the
judgment and without
school had
any
like
pressure,
reported it,
fear. Yeah.
yeah. Whereas
Uh-huh.
I feel like I don't know if a young person would get that now. I feel like if a young
Mm-hmm.
person disclosed something like that now, it would immediately
Yeah.
be shared with the parents.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually at 16, very interestingly, just after my grandmother died,
Mm. Oh.
um, which I think is a coincidence rather than anything else because I was planning on doing it. A teacher told my mum for me.
Oh, really? With your permission? With your consent?
Yeah, I mean, she definitely encouraged me. She was definitely like, "Oh, I think this is, I think it's time now
Mm-hmm.
to tell them, yeah." And I was kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, okay." So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she told my mum for me. And then when I met my mum after she told her in the school, my
Mm-hmm.
mum said the most perfect thing. I mean, my mum didn't often say the right thing, but there is a few standout moments in my life where
Uh-huh.
she did.
Uh-huh.
And she said, "Well, it doesn't really matter because you'll always be John."
Oh,
And that's
love
been
you, mom.
very significant
Yeah.
for me in terms of
Yeah.
my identity
Mm-hmm.
because it's like with everything, I'm John first.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
other identity markers like being a man, being gay, being
Uh-huh.
white,
Mm-hmm.
being neurodiverse, these all get layered in
Yeah.
behind
Come
it.
after.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like I really had a sense from that intervention on her part that I was someone,
Yeah.
not
Beautiful.
something, not something,
Mm-hmm.
but someone.
Mm-hmm. Some gay thingy. Yeah. 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 Oh, great. And your father, how did he respond or react for that matter?
Uh, yeah, it didn't. So my mum told my
Mm,
dad, and there was no acknowledgement, and there still hasn't been. And
really?
it's now 20 years later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Never ever.
never acknowledged it. No. So I think for a long time, Kamla, I discounted that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it
Mm-hmm.
was easier to just be like,
Mm-hmm.
no, he knows it's not a big deal, whatever, whatever, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to get into a place of actually thinking about probably how angry and upset I was that
Mm-hmm.
he had
Yeah.
left me down. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's not the only time my father left me down. There's a string of examples I could give you.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, from my perspective, my father's just never been the man I've needed him to be.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's even hard saying that out loud because in some ways it feels quite like persecutory towards him and that I have these expectations, but these are not expectations of grandeur. These are like some basic fundamentals of him being present
Yeah.
and being
Yeah.
a
And
parent.
as a child, I mean, right?
Yeah,
As a grown man, you can see and look that he is not capable, probably. But as a child, you just needed that.
exactly. I needed it. And it took me a long time to actually really acknowledge within myself how upset I was that he never acknowledged it.
Mm-hmm.
I think actually 15 years before I got to a place where I was ready to acknowledge the pain and
Yeah.
upset and anger that he had
Uh-huh.
still not acknowledged my sexual identity.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, me and my father don't talk now. We don't have a relationship anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the reasons why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting. A sibling of mine said to me, "Well, why don't you talk to him about it?" And I thought, well, that's the fucking problem.
Mm.
I'm the child.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the adult, the
Grow
parent.
up.
I
Yeah.
shouldn't have to be the one
Mm.
that broaches it with him. He's
Mm.
known for 15 years, and if he
Mm-hmm.
can't have a conversation with me about it that he initiates, then it's not a conversation I want to have.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, well, that's clear.
Mm,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Does
So
that still hurt though?
yeah, of course it does. Of course it
Mm-hmm.
hurts. Yeah, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have. Now, that being said, my dad is straight. So I don't know how much of a role model he could have been for a young gay guy anyway. Um,
Uh-huh.
and I think that's often a problem with gay people who are kids of straight people is like
Uh-huh.
the role modeling is in terms of relationships and all that
Yeah.
isn't there anyway. But of
Mm-hmm.
course it hurts because I think that as a boy and then
Mm-hmm.
as a young man and now
Mm-hmm.
as a man who's in the prime of his life,
Mm-hmm.
the sort of relationship I would have liked to have had with my father is
Yeah.
very different. It's one of
Yeah.
um, support, but
Mm-hmm.
that's different to the sort of nurture I would have got from my mom. This kind of
Yeah.
feeling of like a hand on my back
Mm-hmm.
that I just don't think I ever had. In fact, I
Mm.
think that my mum had two hands
Yeah.
on my back to make up for it.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Sad.
It is
So
sad.
sad.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is sad. Yeah, and I
Mhm.
um
Also for him, not only for you, but
of
also for him.
course it
Because
must
I
be.
do believe that fathers or whatever parents um also feels that lack.
Yeah.
Like he might want to, but he just doesn't know how.
He doesn't know how, no, and I have my own theories now as well, Kamala, that
Mm-hmm.
he's neurodiverse and doesn't
Mm-hmm.
know and doesn't understand because I'm autistic and
Mm-hmm.
have ADHD, and
Mm-hmm.
from what we know around neurodiversity now, it's always present in the family line, so
Mm-hmm.
it is genetic on some level,
Mm-hmm.
and I definitely think my father is autistic and
Yeah.
just does not have the capacity,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very lucky because I have grown up in a lifetime where I have been able to get the support to develop the capacity
Yeah.
that he could never get.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because of that, we're fundamentally different.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Hmm. Okay. 18 till you tell me.
I guess we can do 18 to 25.
Okay.
Um, I left school at 18, finished school, and moved out.
Mm-hmm.
And spent the next yeah spent up until I was 25 living out of home and working in some way,
Mm-hmm.
shape or form, and
Mm-hmm.
Moved, lived in the UK for 4 of those years.
Okay.
Lived in Cork City, lived in Dublin, did a
Uh-huh.
lot, I was
Mm-hmm.
almost like had been a caged animal. So once
Uh-huh.
I like got out into the world, I was like,
You
I'm
go
gonna
wild,
do
baby.
loads of things. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It was very interesting actually during my ADHD assessment, because they ask you loads of questions and
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that came to light was making sense of this period from
Mm.
18 to
Uh-huh.
25. Because I was highly successful during that period of time in the sense that I got promoted like every year and
Mm-hmm.
I worked my way up from being like a Christmas temp in a retail shop to being a store manager.
Uh-huh.
And I think that that's a real ADHD process for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Uh-huh.
Like highly effective, highly
Yeah.
efficient, need something new all the time, so the
Uh-huh.
drive to progress.
Right. Ta ta ta
But
ta 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 ta. Uh-huh.
yes, but the unfortunate reality about that is that unmanaged ADHD or unrecognized, I guess is a better word,
Mm-hmm.
means that, I would get myself into all sorts of burnouts that I
Yeah.
was just
It's
like,
too much.
what's going
Yeah.
on? Why?
Uh-huh.
Why has this happened? Why have I got sick? I would go on holidays from work and I'd
Uh-huh.
get sick.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a real intense period, I guess,
Uh-huh.
of me like really expressing
Mm-hmm.
all of who I was in the
Mm-hmm.
world and seeing like how did other people respond to that
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
learning about like worked and what didn't work and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just really, I guess it was a real period of growth
Mm-hmm.
for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing I think, and growth and freedom and
Mm-hmm.
expression. I was able to dye my hair whatever color I wanted to dye it. I had loads of piercings. I
Uh-huh.
dressed however I wanted to dress. It was just, yeah, it was great.
Exploring yourself.
Totally.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Nice. And how old are you now, John?
35.
Okay. Okay. So the last 10 years, let's say, what is there the most significant part for you?
Oh God, I mean, the last 10 years have been vastly different.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the significant centers around first of all becoming an adult.
Mm.
I don't think that we become adults at 18 or 21 or any of the early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I think I really started to become an adult around 27, 28. And then I don't think that process really completed probably until about 2 years ago. And even then, I'm
Mm.
not sure that it's completed, but like I really feel like a grown up now.
Okay. Yeah. What's
Yeah.
the difference for you?
Totally responsible for myself.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, totally responsible for myself. Total separation
Mm-hmm.
from um, the family system, not in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of not being involved, but just like I am out on my own, independent, taking
Exactly.
care of my own stuff and feeling
Yeah.
like I've embraced that I'm okay
Mm-hmm.
with that and that it's possible, which were all hurdles that
Mm.
I had to overcome because at one
Uh-huh.
point it didn't feel like I could do it on my own. At one point it didn't feel like I wanted to do it on my own. At
Uh-huh.
one point it felt like I didn't want to leave go of the
Uh-huh.
parental support.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
these were all hurdles in the last 10 years.
Mm.
And alongside that, a lot of learning, a
Mm.
lot of
Mm.
learning. In the
Mm.
last 10 years, I've trained to be a coach, a psychotherapist, a supervisor, a systemic practitioner in 100 million different things. I've done hundreds of hours of therapy,
Uh-huh.
personal development coaching,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not a different person because I always go back to that thing my mum said to me, which is you'll always be John.
Be John. Yeah.
But I'm like a different version of that,
Mm-hmm.
a more refined,
Exactly.
finesse,
Yeah.
stable,
Yeah.
secure
Yeah.
version.
Yeah. Mm. I like. I like that.
Me too.
Right?
Felt,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, at times it has felt like a real struggle to get to where I am now.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I talk about some of those being like scaling the side of a mountain. You
Yeah.
know, like, is this
Yeah.
ever going to end? You know, it's just
Uh-huh.
you look up and it's just up, 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 up.
Yeah.
And I am on a plateau at the moment, and it's
Uh-huh.
fucking nice here. I am enjoying the view.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for
Mm.
you. What is one or maybe two of the biggest lessons you learned from your mom?
It's never too late.
Mm, so true.
It's never too late.
Yeah.
No such thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like. Yeah. And from your father?
You can be successful.
Okay.
My father is very successful.
Uh-huh.
And although interpersonally or emotionally we don't get along,
Mm-hmm.
um, he came from nothing,
Mm-hmm.
more or less. He left school at 12 and started
Mm-hmm.
working
Mm-hmm.
on
Mm-hmm.
the farm.
Yeah.
And he built that into a business that he sold and made a lot of money out of. When I was 14, he was in his early 50s,
Mm-hmm.
and he has been financially
Yeah.
rewarded in life for his very, 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 very hard work. He is
Mm-hmm.
crippled with arthritis. He worked
Mm.
extremely hard
Mm.
on a physical level,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think he has taught me that you can be successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you do the work. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't add that bit in because I do think that I can be successful and not work as hard.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
I get
I
what you're
think,
saying. You don't
yeah,
have to sacrifice your body, your mind, and your soul to be
yes,
abundant. I
yeah,
get that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
bit I really take from him is about the possibility of success.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think
Yeah.
you know, when I dig deep in my thoughts of him, is a
Mm-hmm.
real gift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. Because I also know a lot of people who haven't seen that from their parents.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to take what's there, right? Because sometimes it's slim
Really.
pickings.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
do, although I don't have a relationship with them and we can be at odds, I do
Mm-hmm.
look for the good.
Exactly.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
other thing
It is
that
an imprint, some shape or form. It is an
absolutely,
imprint.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
He's also very straightforward,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I'm very straightforward.
Like you. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Um, if your life would be a book, what could be the title of that book?
Wow. What would be the title of the book? The, the first thing that came into my mind was Trials and Tribulations.
Oh, hey. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because my life
Okay.
has felt like an obstacle course.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
up until
Yeah.
now. Now
Yeah.
it's like, oh, now it's like an amusement park, and I'm like,
Mm.
oh, this is nice. I've worked really hard to get here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Trials and Tribulations.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
not a complete title, but
Uh-huh.
it's a starting
Okay. It can get a subtitle. And if that book has 10 chapters, in which chapter are you now?
point. Ooh, the end of chapter 5?
Okay. We're in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I
Yeah.
guess that's right. I'm just entering midlife.
Here we go. Yeah. 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 You've got so much more to go.
Mm. Yes,
Yeah.
I know. I want to live for a long time. I really do. I love living.
Uh-huh.
I have not
Uh-huh.
always felt like that.
Mm.
Um, I have not always wanted to be alive, but I
Mm.
have always been anchored to life, which is what's kept me here.
Uh-huh.
And where I am at now, yeah, I want to live for as long as possible because I feel like it's so exciting to experience life.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It is. And also to get to know you, right? In
Yeah.
all the different stages and phases and all that you conquered. or not. It's like everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that this morning when I was eating my breakfast about how I feel older.
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
that I'm old or I'm not buying into any of the thing about being old or being
No,
young or
mature.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
feeling that in myself because I was thinking of I'm not going to get into what I was thinking, but I was thinking about something like, oh, maybe I should start doing that from now on because, I need
Mm,
to consider my
yeah.
age. And I
Uh-huh.
was just like, oh, this is new,
Yeah.
because then I thought, well, before I would have just fucking done the thing
Uh-huh.
because I would have been kind of careless or
Yeah.
carefree.
Yeah. Yeah. Like who cares? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now you're more conscious about maybe the consequences of it all.
Yeah, and I don't find that as oppressive, actually.
No,
I'm
and no at all.
curious about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious about what it will be like to explore that new way of
Yeah.
living.
Being.
Yes.
Yeah. So nice. Is there a story in you about you or about somebody else or life in itself that you think that needs to be told?
Yes.
Okay. Can you share?
Well, I mean, I feel like it's some of what we've covered. I feel like
Okay.
it's my life story. I mean, I
Uh-huh.
really feel like I want to write a book because
Mm.
I feel like there is many people out there living lives that often feel like they're on their own.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
only me having this experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that I want. That's the story I want to tell, actually, is that actually
Yeah.
there's more of us out there having these
Yeah.
experiences than people realize.
Yeah.
And I think so that I think that's part of it. And I think
Mm-hmm.
there's also a part of it that is me feeling hungry for to be seen.
Mm. Okay.
And about that bit I talked about earlier about, the fact that there's no such thing as the truth.
Uh-huh.
And it's like I know that.
Yeah.
And I want people to know what my truth is.
Uh-huh.
I don't
Yeah.
want them to necessarily agree with it or accept it,
No.
but I
No,
want
but
them
just
to
want to tell
know
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
This
I
is
find that
John's
so
truth.
empowering.
Yeah, it is. And if you can put that in a sentence, what is then John's truth?
Oh, that's difficult. It-
Two sentences.
I'm not sure that's helpful. Um, I guess there's many. I could maybe pick one.
Okay.
Um, and one of my truths is it's very easy to ignore who you are
Mm,
and get trapped in the middle world
mm,
and do the things that are demanded of you, like school, work, you know. But it's like, what's it all for? And my truth is that I'm here to enjoy the experience.
mm,
And that means that I reject a lot of what's expected of me.
mm. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yes. And I do. And yes, that is your truth. And at the same time, I believe that's a collective truth. But
Yes.
a lot of people are afraid to tap into that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I have similar perspectives on that
Mm-hmm.
view.
Yeah.
And I also recognize that it's not my job to convince people.
Mm-mm. Just be an example and like, if John can do it, maybe I can too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
the invitation is there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. I love it. I love it. Okay, my dear friends. Thank you so much for a
Thank
little bit of your story. I want to
you.
read that book.
Yes, it will happen eventually.
So please write it. And thank you for being a demonstration of living your truth and fully accepting who you are and share that with the world. I am
Mm,
very grateful to get to know you.
likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, listeners and watchers, I hope you learned something, take away something, and find your own truth. And if you want to share, please share. Till next time. Bye bye.
Bye.